What up, y'all? Welcome back to the Bees Like That podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris. I'm going to try my best to frame something for y'all. And this isn't something that, well, I'm sure that this isn't anything that none of y'all have either considered or heard any of this messaging before. Regardless, I think that it's still important to hold out in front of us, as I say, ideas about perseverance, commitment, dedication, goal setting, self-determination, etc. So if in your life you have committed to a thing, whether it's a race, losing a little bit of weight, or a lot of weight, bodybuilding, maybe you're someone who's decided that you want to learn about podcasting or social media content creation, whatever the thing is, it doesn't matter. But if you, like I say, have committed to a thing, man, I'm telling you, and I wish this was stuff that I would have understood earlier. But that's a different conversation. Anyway, don't wait. What did I just say? This isn't a brand new idea, but there's value in review. Don't wait. That idea of analysis paralysis, we can overthink things to the point of immobilization. I mean, we're not going to move on anything. I had a coach once that I learned a lot from this guy, but one of the great things that I did learn from him, and it's really simple, and I love when like the little simple things impact us in like meaningful ways, right? So the thing that I learned from him was just like, if you're not stuck really per se, but you're procrastinating, a good exercise, and it worked for me. It might work for you, maybe not, but it was just 1, 2, 3, fuck it, with no other thought to it. You know what I mean? This is something that you've been putting off or you do daily, and you recognize a pattern of procrastination, right? Like you have a plan early, and you end up following through, but you go through this, kind of song and dance consistently of like, weighing your options, trying to reason your way out of whatever, the activity or behavior might be. When I do the 1, 2, 3, fuck it, that removes any of that internal dialogue, right? Like any room for Chris to be in his head and be like, well, I'm still not fully recovered in this muscle group, and the science. And man, shut the fuck up. Listen, sometimes, a lot of the time, there's value in just not thinking much about it and just moving on it. And I think that's especially true in the beginning of things, because we don't have any of the, man, come on, dude. I got my son in the gym with me right now, and I feel really cool about that. And I have another one of my daughters reaching out, and she wants to start learning about fitness as well. And this is incredible for me, but inside it feels amazing. And I'm stoked to be available to both of them with my years of experience and wisdom on fitness and whatever, to kind of like, not kind of, but to mitigate a lot of the growing pains, so to speak, for them in their fitness journey. There's shit that they're just gonna have to go through, and it just bees like that. But I didn't have people like that. But one thing that I'm really big on is details. The details do matter, but also committing to just getting up and going. And then as you're in motion, you figure out a lot of these details, right? And sometimes by accident. A lot of this shit is trial and error. You realize through, just application of practice, just get up and start moving around. Like, okay, this I recognize doesn't work for me. I'm gonna keep note of that. This I see progress and it's a movement, and I like this motion right here. So I note that and I keep it and I log it. And I tell both of them generally, well, first off, the cool thing is generally the application in simplest terms, tailored to individuals and their specific needs, of course, but it works for everybody, right? Macros, all that shit works for everybody. I'm not going to debate, oh, my cortisol levels, oh, my sleep, and oh, my da-da-da-da-da. It's so simple. It is so simple. When you do it right, it works. All that other bullshit, I'm not trying to hear it. We all want to feel like we're the exception. We all want to feel like we're the example on the end of the spectrum. When the chances are, you're not. Chances are, you're just like the rest of us. There's some nuance there, you know. You may be shorter. Your levers may, leverage in different ways, and all this stuff matters. But generally, like the kickoff point is going to be the same. Just start. 1, 2, 3, go. Fuck it, go. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. You're going to be stuck in that waiting forever. Well, it just wasn't the right time. Well, I wasn't ready. How do you know? How do you know it wasn't the right time? How do you know you weren't ready? How do you know? If you have no concordance, you have nothing to reference, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, how do you know you're not ready? Do you not have all of the knowledge that you will in 6 months after you start? Yeah. Will you ever get to that level of knowledge at 6 months, a year, 2 years after you start if you don't start? No. You 100% will continue to suck as bad as you do right now if you never get going. That's just the truth of it. For real, for real. You got to kick yourself in the ass and motivate yourself. And then turn that motivation into dedication. And having a plan is excellent. And sometimes the plan looks like, I'm going to make it to the gym 3 days this week. Cool. Did that. Still alive. There's no Cyclops waiting for me in the locker room. Now I'm going to do 4. I'm going to do 5, etc. And this is how we build on these baby steps. This is where the confidence is built. This is where the experience is built. This is where that wisdom is built. That you can't get any other way. You can't get it by reading. You can't get it by asking questions. You can't get it by watching others. There's certainly shit that you can glean that way in all those different ways, for sure. These are ways that we learn. But if you are not applying it in real time, in your life, there's just a level of connection that you will always miss. And you will sit and feel like you are a part away from everybody else when you're not. The difference is you just didn't get going. And then once you did get going, you stopped. I had a conversation with my daughter, one of them, this morning. She's doing great. Proud of her. She's on her own, figuring out her fitness journey. Of course, I'm here to support and guide however I can. But we all, even me, reach points in whatever the journey might be where we feel stuck. And I wish that all of the things in this life were linear. These were linear processes, and we could predict with certainty how things are going to go. Some of the time, with fitness and other things, yeah, we can. There's some reliability there, but there are curveballs, and they happen regularly. And as I was explaining to her as best I could, there's so many variables that go into so much of this shit. It's very simple, but there are a lot of things to consider. So the best way that I've found to approach this whole thing, just talking about fitness or any goal, right, is to be as intentional with your approach as possible. So as many variables that you can, how do I want to say this, remove or measure as accurately as you can, that gives you it reduces the amount of variables that are likely to be the cause of a plateau or a sticking point or a barrier or an obstacle. Sometimes it's the shit you can't figure out. But most of the time, this is how this process works, and we're better able, or better equipped rather, when we hit these sticking points or we reach, these barriers. Okay, well, it's definitely not these things. So let's evaluate what I'm not so sure about, or let's look at these other variables. And, most of it is just really good educated guesses based on experience and, what's happened to us before. And we do really well figuring things out that way. But like I say, sometimes shit pops up that you just haven't or weren't able to account for or didn't think you needed to anticipate. And having a level of adaptability and changeability and, you're not so rigid in your approach that you can take that hit like, woof, unexpected turn came. All right, well, let's see how can we move around this? There's things in my fitness journey that for years were a certain way and they're not that way anymore. I have different reactions to different things now. Just, I don't know, based on age or, other things that are outside of my control. But, they come in. I recognize them. Sometimes they really suck, but we pivot, and I have to have conversations with myself about like, okay, is this goal, doesn't have to be fitness, but is this goal or thing important enough to me to deal with whatever this is, whatever the obstacle might be? If the answer is yes, then you just 1, 2, 3, fuck it, and you just go. Unless it's dangerous, right? Then you got to kind of be smart. But not kind of. You got to be smart. And I think err on the side of caution. But I think the gist you understand, right? That a really effective part of any process is getting your ass up and getting it moving. And stepping into that fear and realizing that you were really worried about not a whole lot, not too much. There wasn't really a big monster on the other side of that curtain or under the bed. And if there was, it wasn't as scary as you thought it might have been. Easily thwarted, smited, smote. That's a funny word. But yeah, man. And the last thing that I'll leave with you is any of the worry or anxiety about, what other people might think about what you're doing. We can't shake 100% of that. It's going to be present. But as much of that as you can turn away from and turn into your interests and do your best not to let that inform your decisions when it comes to things that you're interested in, that you want to pursue, the better. Because none of these fools are going to be in the grave with you. I mean, they might, but that'd be weird. You're born alone. You're going to die alone. There might be there was people around. There will be people around you, hopefully. But what I mean is these are things you have to do by yourself. It's a different experience watching someone be born than it is to be born. It's a different experience watching someone die than it is to die. The person doing the dying or doing the borning, they're the only one that's going to experience that the way that they did ever in life, in history. Other people will have experiences like it, but it's unique to them because they're them and you are you. So anyway, I hope that made sense to you, and I hope that gives you a bit of motivation this morning to get up, get out, and get something different, or to start something that you've been apprehensive to start, or because you're not very good at. I look at the stuff that I'm like, especially within bodybuilding, I'm like, all right, yeah, I need this to come up. I need to make these adjustments. I'm gonna attack this and make as much improvement during this process as humanly possible. And I don't give a damn if people don't like my spandex. I don't give a damn if people think that I'm doing movements that are usually for girls or you know what I mean? Or if I don't give a damn, because at the end of the day, there may be other athletes on the stage with me, but they didn't go through the process that I went through. They might work hard and they might beat me. And I certainly do want to win. But my life today is a W. Every second of my life today is a W. And every time I step on that stage, I'm already a champion. One, because I beat all the fools who want to do it, who never took the chance, who never put in the work. 100% of the time, I win over them. 100%. Anyway, if you didn't do it on the way in, do it on the way out. We're not thinking about shit anymore. We're committing. Remember? Do it on the way out. Hit that like, subscribe, and post notification bell. And hell, tell your friends about it. Share it. Talk about it at work so you can stay up to date on all the cool, fun, wacky, zany, out of this world shit we talk about here on the It Bees Like That podcast. Peace, y'all.